Dan and Kyle and Woody and Will, thank you so much for being here today. I think there's a magical way you can take such, in my opinion, a sad, touching, gripping song and make it sound uplifting. And what Good Grief is, in my opinion, that's sort of what you did there.
Yeah, I think it's sort of about trying to find optimism and hope in a really sad situation. And I think that's kind of, a lot of our songs have quite sort of not dark lyrics, but I guess we like to sort of write about stuff that people don't necessarily normally write about. But then there's enough people being super sad all the time. So I think it's about, in any situation, there's kind of, everything's complicated and messy, and it's about trying to find some hope and optimism within all that. But
then I've seen you do a show where you'll take a very happy song and make it sound very sad.
Yeah, that's also fun.
Kind of like screwing with our heads.
I mean, I think that's like, we've done some mixtapes and we've done a bunch of covers and mashups and stuff, and I think it's always interesting to take music that we see as kind of really happy, shiny pop music, and that if you strip it back, often the lyrics are devastating. And I think that's sometimes like the best thing about pop music and music in general. Like, some of the best songs in the world make you kind of feel devastated and ecstatic at the same time,
I get it.
There's nothing better than a cry dance, guys.
A cry dance. Something I can talk about better than anyone else in this room, probably, because I'm the oldest in this room. There is this poppy 80s sound in your music. I don't know if you like the comparison or not, or, I mean, there are a lot of songs that I used to play when they were new in the 80s that had this same electronic buzzy feel. And is that something you guys went for? Is that something you studied, or it just happened that way?
Not really. It's always, I mean, for me, I always find it interesting. You release music and people, obviously, who know nothing about you, or where you can kind of compare it to stuff. And the 80s thing, like, is not a massive influence on us, but it's so interesting that people keep saying that to us. Like, what do you reckon, Woody?
I think that maybe some of the other acts we listen to as well, maybe it kind of seeps in through that as well. But, I mean, there's all sorts in there, like big old rocky drums and horns and dirty guitars and really synthy electronic stuff. So, I don't know.
Yes.
We went for everything and just kind of...
Our band is just a big mash of a lot of incredibly disparate influences. So, yeah, I guess what comes out is that.
So, Bastille on a world tour soon, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're here. We're just here playing some tiny little shows.
Well, let's talk about that, because you guys, I mean, you have done these massive festivals. You have been a part of these stadium shows, and now here you are playing in this rinky-dink hallway of a building that we have. But you're saying I know you're gonna do Bowery Ballroom here in New York City. I mean, these are smaller venues. I mean, do you prefer those smaller, intimate shows, or what is it that gets you off?
There's so much. Wow.
I mean, that's two very different questions there.
I think the small venues are so much fun to play. We're about to go back to the UK and Europe to do kind of arena tour, which is massive and kind of quite crazy for us. And then we're coming back early next year to the States to do a proper big tour. But this was just a really nice excuse, kind of around the release of the album, to come here and go back and do the venues that we first ever played in the States, and almost with the new album, we'll sort of go back to the beginning, and it's been so much fun. We played a tiny little club in DC, we played in Brooklyn last night, we're playing in Manhattan tonight, and it's for us so much fun. We've been being kind of really pretentious and playing the album from start to finish, and then finishing with a few like crowd pleasers at the end of the first record.
You just ruined the rest of the shows on the tour, Dan. You realise that?
Oh, what?
I guess we have no reason to go now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and another thing I know about you guys is I've seen you in concert and I've heard your albums, and they are two different experiences, because I mean, you really have such a loyal audience when you do your live show, and there's that energy that you share with your audience. And then the studio album sounds incredibly well, slickly produced. It is you have two different jobs. You have your on stage and you have your in studio. I mean, what do you prefer?
I don't know. In terms of preference, I don't know. Like, both are equally enjoyable. But I mean, as far as the kind of live thing goes, I mean, if it sounded exactly like the record, it'd be, what's the point in coming to see us live?
Exactly.
And also, like, I think with our first record, it was kind of a bedroom record where we write and produce everything ourselves with our friend. And so I think you can sort of hear that element, particularly on the first record. And then it sort of blew up, which was, completely unexpected. And I think we sort of like left the album behind and evolved, and the songs kind of grew and changed. and now it sounds miles different from where it started.
I love a lot of text messages are saying they love your accents. But keep in mind, they don't have accents. To them, we have the accent.
Right.
In the beginning of Good Grief, you started up with that sample. Let me go ahead and play that, Scary.
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
And who is that?
That's Weird Science.
Is that Weird Science?
Yeah, it's Kelly LeBrock.
That's Kelly LeBrock.
Kelly LeBrock lives in my actual drum machine. She's there now.
So you guys do have this fascination with stuff from the 80s.
Well, with this quote in particular, so throughout, we did these mixtapes before our first record, and they were very illegal, and we got quite a lot of lawsuits about it. But we used to sort of sample left, right, and centre from like film soundtracks and film quotes and stuff like that. So we wanted to bring that into our new album, Wild World.
And available at all good stores.
It's available now.
So it's kind of, it is, and we so basically the album opens with Kelly LeBrock, and it's kind of, I think it's almost within the context of the song. She's this kind of like motivational, ghostly figure, telling you to sort of get on with things. But it's also a kind of sly nod to our fans who've waited quite a long time for this record, and it's just about that sense of nostalgia, like you said.
We did wait a little while for this record.
Yeah, 3 years.
I mean, is that? I think that's about right. It's not unusual to. I mean, it wasn't like you were just sitting around watching Netflix for 3 years.
Well, we didn't say that.
Are you
said you
guys?
wouldn't mention that, man. Well, you said you were going to get off air.
Well, I mean, time. How does a band do this? Well, how did Bastille do this? Did you take the time off and then come back together, or was it you were always doing something, working toward the new album?
I mean, like, bearing in mind when we started out a few years ago, we were driving around the UK in a car that we borrowed from our friend's mum because we couldn't fit all our gear in Woody's van, and we went properly from like toilet venues and little pubs, and then suddenly, and we sort of like the curve was steady but quite quick, which was nuts. So suddenly we were finding ourselves, in the States and in Australia and in Asia, and like traveling and being lucky enough to tour everywhere. So it's kind of like this last 3 years we've been touring and trying to make this record at the same time, and we never really stopped. But we ultimately went back to London for a couple of months and to the little studio that we record in, which is our friend's basement with no windows or air.
Well, look at the lyrics from Good Grief. What's going to be left of the world if you're not in it? Every minute and every hour, I miss you. I miss you more. Every stumble, every misfire, I miss you. I've lost control of all my senses. I've lost control of all my words. Put me in my place. Pick me up off the floor. Put me in my place. I mean, who was this written for?
Me.
Woody.
Thank you, Woody. This is written for Woody.
It was written for Woody.
Woody's no longer with us. No, this is a very, very serious song.
It's really sad. I think there's a couple of people who it's sort of about, but it's just I was trying to sum up through the song with this sort of there's just the messiness of the process of loss and how like hearing a song you really associate with someone can kind of be like a song or a smell, can be like a bolt out of the blue. It can take you right back to that point or to a specific memory, and how that can be amazing, and then suddenly the realization that they're not around is not cool. And also sort of about how bizarre the concept of like a funeral is, and obviously they're really helpful and amazing, but it's just such a bizarre thing to kind of this ritual that exists around when someone goes and trying to sort of get your head around it. And some people have had a couple too many drinks at a funeral sometimes as a coping mechanism, but it's just about like how like the different ways that you try and cope and try and find some sort of light at the end of a tunnel. Anyway.
Very powerful words. If ever you have a chance to see Bastille, please do. But of course, you can hear them now. Wild World available. And of course, where can we go to find out tour dates? In
our website? Bastille.com.
Oh, yeah. You own it. You own Bastille.com?
No, we couldn't get that. So we own Bastille.com.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a German man who wants a lot of money for Bastille.com, and he's not getting it. So.
He doesn't do anything on his website. It's just like a page.
Dude, tell me about it.
He's just waiting for you to pay the money.
Yeah, it's like send money here.
So Bastille.com. Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Fairfax, Brooklyn, Uncasville, Chicago. You're going to be up at Mohegan Sun, Sugarland, Texas, New Orleans, which is actually a very big venue. New Orleans. You're going to be all over the place. Oh my God, look at these dates.
And the rest.
They'll be in Des Moines, Omaha, Bozeman, Montana, where we're on right now. You're in a lot of our cities. So
excited.
We must support.
Please get tickets before all the scum who buy it up and sell it on Seatwave Another website to do that.
Yeah.
It's true. Go buy them now before they're too expensive.
Yeah.
Congratulations on just, everything. It's so silly for me to list them singularly, but you guys are just fantastic. Thank you for coming in
Thanks
and sharing your
for having us,
music
man.
with us today.
Thanks, man.
Bastille, fantastic. The album is Wild World. I want it to be #1 by the end of the day, damn it.
Yes.
Bastille, Bastille.com. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.